Hey, welcome to our new stimulus webinar. My name is Rico McCambry. I'd like to welcome everybody tonight to a very, very special webinar. We're going to be talking about preparing for the second round of the COVID-19 relief funding. I'm just in a good mood. I don't know what y'all know what happened in Georgia last night, but we got a little prelude on going into it. So welcome. I'm coming to y'all live from Conyers, Georgia. All right, yeah, so we ain't gonna do that. It's already 8 p.m. Eastern time. I'd like to welcome everybody to our preparing for the second round of COVID relief funding. My name is Rico McCambry. I'm the president and CEO of a company called Nove. We're not really here to talk about Nove tonight, but to talk about how to put you in a position, to really get some of the money that the government is going to be giving out this second time around, how to be able to leverage that and some opportunities to position yourself for some major growth going into 2021, this first month of 2021. How you finish is going to be a good indication of how you start. So we want to make sure we get you off on the right track. We got people coming to us from all across the country. If you're checking in, I want you to go ahead and just tell us, your city and state, where you're coming to us from, because I see a lot of names, right? So tell us your city and state, where you're coming to us from. And we're going to get started in about 30 more seconds. I see, man, this is so many people that are on this webinar. In fact, I know we were capped out at 500. I contacted the webinar company and say, listen, we need some more capacity. What can we do to gain some more capacity? So we doubled that capacity. And man, within a couple of hours, we even, went up another 50%, almost doubling that capacity in terms of people who are trying to join. So if people get on a little later and they contact you and they say, hey, why can't we get on? That means we reach capacity, and they'll be in a waiting room in order to enter if somebody else drops off. If not, they'll just have to catch this later. So let that be a lesson that you always want to be early and not just on time. So let me go ahead and take this in the screen share mode so we can get this party rocking and rolling. And what will happen is I'll do a question and answer section at the end. Okay. So I believe there's a section in here for you to be able to ask questions if you have them. Okay. Uh-oh. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Again, my name is Rico McCambry. I'm the president and CEO of a company called Nove. I'll tell a little bit about myself, in a little while, but I want to go ahead and get into this information here tonight. Our corporate website is novemoney.com. You'll see a link at the bottom of these slides that refers people to information, free information on how to start building business credit so they can get funding in their business name separate from their personal name and their personal credit profile. We actually help individual companies build their business credit profile and get business funding. So it was definitely fitting to be able to do a webinar to show individuals how to prepare themselves for this second round of COVID-19 relief funding. This last year, has definitely been a year that will go down, for the ages, right? A global pandemic. A lot of people, lost their businesses. Many people lost jobs. Some people lost their homes. And unfortunately, the greatest tragedy is many people lost their life. But each and every one of us is still blessed to be here. And we really need to be able to make sure we capitalize on opportunities, because we never know how long we got left. And hopefully the short time I spend with you here over the next several minutes is going to give you an opportunity to figure out how to level up with some of the time you got left. I believe we only get one shot at life. And if we get that one shot, we got to be able to do the best with that one shot that we can to take advantage of opportunities. So before I start, a few different things I want to make sure everybody's aware of. Number one, I want you to go ahead and text new money to 94253. And the reason why you want to text this number is to get on our text list for all the updates that's going to be rolling out here over the next few days. In fact, between the next 5 to 14 days, there are going to be several different elements of new guidance that the SBA is rolling out with. So a lot of things I'm going to be talking about here tonight, they're going to be much more fine details associated with this information. So we'll be texting that information out. Also, information on further updates with new webinars that I'll be doing and new lending programs and things of that nature, if you don't get into these programs early on. So you want to go ahead and do that so you can stay up to date on all the new developments and the programs. Also, we're going to be giving away $100 tonight. Okay, $100 cash out once I get to the question and answer section of this webinar to a lucky individual who actually sent in, who texts new money, and we have their phone number. So what's going to happen after about halfway through this webinar is I'm going to have someone from our admin team text a few of the phone numbers that actually just registered to get on our list. And if you're the first one to respond back after they text you, and they're going to give you about a minute to respond, they're going to ask you for your cash out. We'll recognize you at the end of the webinar, and we'll also shoot you $100. Don't spend it all at one place, but at least, hey, low money is better than no money at all. So $100 cash out going to a lucky person that we pull out of the hat that actually, registers their phone number with 94253. So you're going to text 94253. The word that's one is it looks like two words, but it's just one word together, new money, which, by the way, that's actually translation for Nove money. Also, any questions you have, use the Q&A function to post your questions. We'll have dedicated Q&A at the end. In addition to that, I know it's hard to listen. It's hard to take notes. It's hard to maybe eat. If you just got home from a long day, you're probably trying to eat. You're probably trying to take some notes, listen in real good. Maybe put your kids to bed. So I want to make sure you don't miss any of this information. A lot of people always screenshot things on their phone or on their computer as far as the slides are concerned. But I'm going to send you this entire presentation, okay, to your text message. So everybody who joins this list will actually get a copy of this entire presentation. We're going to send out a link so you'll be able to download it or email it to yourself. Or share with others, whatever you want to do. But if you join that list, you'll get a copy of this entire presentation at the end. So if you miss something, you can go back and actually look at it and take further notes. Lastly, I want you to get with the person who referred you. And before I jump into this thing, if you could, real quick, just express gratitude. I always believe that if we're grateful for what we have, if we're grateful for what we've been through in the midst of it, we'll actually open up the gateways to what's to come. So that's important to be able to be grateful. So just say thank you to the person that referred you to this information tonight, because I remember the first webinar we did back in, I believe it was March, when the first round of COVID funding relief came out. And man, we had hundreds of people within the first few weeks of the programs rolling out, getting funding for the PPP, for the EIDL program, which is the EIDL. We're going to talk about it here tonight. I mean, hundreds of people actually getting the advance. So probably a few thousand altogether that joined those webinars were able to get funded for their businesses and are going to be in a position to get funded again with this round of funding. So thank the person who referred you here before we get into this. And then at the end of it, you'll definitely want to reach out to them and thank them again, but you want to make sure you follow up with them. Okay, so 5 reasons you want to stay until the end of this presentation tonight, and you want to jot this down. Don't just join this and just try to get a little information on the front end and then you get distracted, or you get bored. It's very important that this could be the foundation to something that's going to happen to you financially and for your business that maybe it never did before. You got to start believing bigger in order to get bigger results. And I believe tonight could be the foundation of putting you on another level, okay? 5 reasons why you want to stay until the end. Number 1, I'm going to be sharing with you all the program updates to the government programs, new grants that they rolled out with, also guaranteed debt relief for programs that's currently out there right now in terms of SBA programs, and also how to get loan forgiveness if you're applying for and look to get the PPP. I'm also going to share with you a free application, okay, a free app that you can download to your phone after this webinar is over and easily apply and track your EIDL loan, okay, the EIDL, we call it EIDL, the EIDL loan, and also your stimulus payment. All right, I want you to drop in the comments if you received your stimulus check, that $600 check that they're talking about going out. Unfortunately, which I believe that the Democrats took all the extra spaces that were available in the Senate, and what's going to happen more than likely going into February, you're probably going to see that additional $1,400 coming out because they made a lot of promises on giving out those $2,000 checks. I know a lot of people are excited about that, but I'm also going to talk about how do we prepare for the recession that's coming behind all the free money that they're giving us right now. So we want to be able to leverage this free money, but we also got to understand there's going to be a price to pay for the free money. So we want to be able to level up while times are good. So when times get bad, you'll still be up and you won't be down. So we're going to discuss that. Also, I'm going to expose you to and give you some information on a direct lender for the PPP program that will help you submit all your documentation for successful admission. There's so many people who missed out on all the money the first time around simply because they didn't know what to submit. They needed help. They had questions and they didn't know where to turn. And before you know it, they looked around and the money was gone. So we got a solution for that for you this time around that I'm going to share at the end. Also, startup loan programs for businesses that don't qualify for the stimulus. And it's very important to understand that you have to be in business for a certain period of time. I know we have some people on here right now saying, man, I started my business last week. Let me get some PPP. Let me get the idle loan. Now I'm going to talk to you about if you could qualify in this presentation, but I'm also going to talk to you about how we're still going to be able to get you some money within the next 1 or 2 weeks, even if you don't qualify. And last but not least, a reason why you want to stay around is because when I get to the Q&A, that's when we're going to tell you who won the $100 for joining the text group, and they're going to get that $100 cash out at the end of the night. So that's why you want to hang around. Well, who am I? You know, some of you who saw the flyer that was shared with you, maybe somebody sent you a text and the link just for you to register. If you didn't read who the host was, again, my name is Rico McCambry. You know, I'm the president and CEO of Nove, and I'm going to be sharing this information with you here tonight. I feel like I have a few credentials that earns me the right to be here to kind of talk about this and to talk about a level of success. Before I get into those credentials, I just want everybody to know that I come from very humble beginnings. We're raised in a single parent home. It was just me and my mother until the time I went off to college, you know, and we even lived in a couple of housing projects before she put us in a position where she was able to get a townhome and eventually build a home. It was a real modest 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom home, but my mother taught me a lot about life, how to keep God first, a strong work ethic, you know, how to treat people right, being determined, having perseverance. But the one thing that she couldn't teach me was how to become financially free, how to build a successful business, not because she didn't want to, but because she didn't know. Now, I know a lot of you probably can relate to that. And the reality is I started looking for different mentors and I started researching entrepreneurship, very blessed and fortunate at the age of 20 years old to start my entrepreneurship journey. By the time I was 21 years old, I was able to leave my job at the time, making about 60 or 70,000 that first year. By the time I was 22, blessed to make 6 figures in income as an entrepreneur. And by the time I was 25, I had some months where I was making over 6 figures per month in income. You know, so this has been an incredible journey. It hasn't always been easy. Anything worth having, my mom always told me that it's worth fighting for. So you're still going to have adversity. You're still going to have challenges if you're making a lot of money. But the bottom line is when you have issues and challenges when you're making money, you can handle those issues and challenges with more style. Okay, because you have more money. So I've been blessed and fortunate to start, build, and run 4 multi-million-dollar companies, voted in the top 10% direct selling CEOs out of over 550 CEOs globally. I'm also a contributor, an industry expert contributor on Forbes.com because I was selected to be on the Forbes Business Council. So I actually write articles about business credit and funding for Forbes.com. You can actually Google that and pull up some of those articles. I'm also on the Leadership Council with the National Small Business Association. We actually advocate for small businesses all across the United States of America, featured in Who's Who in Black Atlanta for more than a decade. That's a great accomplishment. And, you know, one of the best selected to the #1 business honor society in the world, Beta Gamma Sigma, after earning a 4.0 GPA in one of the nation's top MBA programs. You know, so, hey, it sounds great, but let me tell you something. It was a lot of hard work. And the reason why I put all that work in was to learn the things I needed to learn to change my life. But at the same time, I could pay it forward so other people could change theirs. And lastly, I'm also an accomplished author as well. My last book just rolled out a few months ago, obviously because of everything that we got going on in these challenging times. I named the book The Plan After Police Reform that will guarantee social justice and progress for the Black community. I don't have time to give you a summary right now, but I'm telling you, outside of everything that's going on, you know, with social justice, with police brutality, we got to focus on a lot of the pressing issues that's keeping us behind when it comes to advancing economically. And this book gives you everything that we need to do to make it happen. And not only just some talk tracks, but an actual plan. That's why it's called The Plan. So you can find out more information about that at theplan2021.com. That's The Plan 2021.com. Let's go ahead and get into the information and the reason why you're here this evening, okay? Economic aid to hard-hit small businesses, nonprofits, and venues is really the focus of this money for the COVID relief that's being put out here. This was actually signed into law, just almost a week ago, okay? Part of what we call the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021. Back in March when they rolled out with the CARES Act, we had a really sweet acronym that we can remember and put that together. Where it's not a really cool acronym here, but that's what it's called, a Consolidated Appropriations Act of over $2 trillion. And they just carved out a few hundred billion for these loans for businesses. Actually, $284 billion has been allocated for the PPP loan programs, which 138 billion of that was from the first round. Now, rumors have it that they don't believe any money is going to be left, after this money starts going out the door. So what you want to make sure after I finish this information, within the next week or two, when the floodgates open, when these lenders start opening up their doors to take applications, you want to make sure you're prepared. Now, I want everybody to understand something. I'm going to be here tonight talking about, what you got to do and how you can go out here and make this thing happen. And of course, you'll be able to do it with us. But all the information I'm giving you, you will be able to take this yourself and go win. So it's not about me selling you on anything. What it's about is me putting you in a position to win in a major way. So what's the key components of this bill? Number one is the PPP second draw, okay? They call this the PPP second draw loan. So if you got the PPP originally the first time, you got a chance this time to get the PPP again. And for the sake of that argument, we'll call this and we'll refer to this as PPP2 in the presentation. The next thing is also what we call targeted EIDL advance. Okay, that's the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. That's what EIDL stands for. They actually have targeted advances they're going to be giving away this time instead of just giving it away to everybody. We'll go through the details of that as well. Also, guaranteed loan debt relief from the SBA. The SBA is actually going to be relieving some debt of people who already have loans with them. Okay, and we're going to talk about that as well. And if you're already in business, you can see, man, do I qualify for one of those? We're going to talk about targeted programs for the hardest hit businesses, also disadvantaged businesses, and we're also going to talk about some resolved tax treatment of PPP forgiveness and debt relief payments. All right, so let's talk about a little bit about the PPP round 2 loan allocation so you can understand where some of this money's going. All right, $15 billion has been set aside for both first and second draw PPP loans to be issued by community financial institutions, which are CDFIs. Those are actually called community development financial institutions, and also minority depository institutions. We'll talk about that further along in this information. $15 billion has also been set aside for first and second draw PPP loans issued by certain smaller depository institutions, and we're considering those banks or credit unions. And $25 million has been set aside for both first and second draw PPP loans issued by Minority Business Development Center programs under the Minority Business Development Agency. So as you can see, they're trying to allocate a lot of this money, and a lot of the individuals who are up in Congress, in the Senate, they actually have fought for trying to get more of this money allocated for minorities. Okay, so it's very important that we educate ourselves and we're able to maximize these opportunities, because I don't know if you know it or not, but only 5%, okay, of the PP loans that went out the first time around went out to minorities. So that was one of the biggest complaints, and they wanted to make sure this time around that minorities were actually had an opportunity to be able to get this money. So I don't want you all to complain, or when you hear people complain about not being able to advance, not having an opportunity to leverage certain programs. They're actually really putting it in your lap right now. Now you just got to take the initiative to make it happen. $57 million has been set aside for a microloan program, $15 billion in grants, and we'll talk about that. $20 billion allocated for targeted EIDL advanced programs. We'll talk about that. $15 billion is allocated for smaller first-time borrowers with 10 or fewer employees. Okay, we'll talk about that in low-income areas. And $25 billion allocated for second draw borrowers. Okay, people who are trying to go back and get a second round of funding for this PPP with 10 or fewer employees. So the focus is really on helping individuals who have these smaller businesses. So how do you figure out if you're eligible? Okay, you want to make sure you pay attention to what I'm about to talk about. And I also have a graphic to break it down at a more granular level to help you understand. But you must have experienced at least one quarter in 2020 where revenues were 25% or more below corresponding revenue in 2019. Okay, so I'll give you a quick example. Let's just say if you look at your revenues, in the last quarter of 2020, and let's say your revenues were $70,000 in the last quarter of 2020. Okay, that's October, November, December of 2020. Well, you need to compare that to October, November, December of 2019. If your revenues were $100,000 in that last quarter of 2019, and they were $70,000 in the last quarter of 2020, you're eligible because your revenues decreased 30%. So as long as your revenues were 25% or more, okay, and the scenario I just gave you was 30%, you qualify for this. Also, no more than 300 employees, and you must have or will use the full amount of the initial PPP loan funds. So that's PPP first round. Okay. So the bottom line is this, if they're asking you, hey, you got, they're saying you got PPP one, have you used, this first loan or do you plan on using it by a certain date? You want to attest to, and all the test needs is you're saying, hey, this is the truth and this is what's going on. So you want to attest that, yes, I have either used it or I'm going to use it in the very near future. So that's why I need PPP 2. If you're applying for PPP 2 and you say, hey, I got PPP 1, but I'm sitting on it. I put it in a savings account, or I went out here and I bought some stocks and bonds and I'm just letting it grow, they're not going to qualify you for PPP 2. All right, so make sure you let them know that you either use it or you're going to use it. Same types of businesses are qualified for the initial PPP loans that came out. This is very important. You had to be in business on February 15th, 2020 or prior to, okay? So that means if you just started a business the last quarter of 2020, you're not going to be qualified for PPP. Now that's okay. Okay, if you're in a decent position, I'm going to tell you how we can still help you out. But the reality is, if you were in business prior to February 15, 2020, okay, you're eligible as long as you meet these other requirements. Now the loan limits, okay, are $2 million and $10 million if combined with PPP 1. So, well, what does that mean? Loan limit of $2 million if for this round, if you didn't get PPP 1. Okay, if you didn't get PPP 1 and you're applying for PPP 2, your loan limit is $2 million. But if you got PPP 1 and you're applying for PPP 2, then your loan limit is $10 million. You say, well, Rico, well, why is it such a huge discrepancy? The reason why it's such a huge discrepancy is the loan limit for PPP 1 was $10 million. So if you got $9 million for PPP 1, if you apply for PPP 2, you only can get $1 more million because that's a combination of the 10, all right? And most people obviously didn't get that much, okay? So you probably don't have to worry about that. The loan amount is going to be based off of 2.5 times the average monthly 2019 payroll, okay? That's the same criteria they gave us for PPP 1. So you average your payroll out. Let's say if your payroll is $10,000, okay, for the month, $10,000, you're going to multiply that by 2.5 times, which would give you $25,000, okay? That is the loan amount that you can actually take out. And when I say payroll, I'm not just talking about hourly wages, but I'm talking about all the expenses associated with payroll. I'm talking about the taxes that you have to pay, okay? I'm talking about unemployment insurance. I'm talking about health insurance if you're paying that, dental, vision, anything associated with payroll expenses, 2.5 times that amount, that puts you in a position to maximize the loan amount that you're trying to get. Check this out. This is something new. If you got a NAICS code, that's NAICS code. That's the Northern American Industry Qualification System, okay? That's how they classify what industry you're in, all right? You can look that up with the Secretary of State, and you can see what your NICS code is. They call it NICS for short, but it's North American Industry Classification System. All right. If your NICS code begins with a 7.2, then you get to use a multiple of 3.5. Okay. So that means you get a whole point more, 100% more than somebody who doesn't have a NICS code that begins with 7.2. All right, so let me break this down visually for you so you can understand how this works, and hopefully this will help you, because I know some people are saying, well, yeah, Rico, well, what if I started in this quarter and not this quarter? How does it work? Because I gave you a scenario comparing the last quarter of 2019 to the last quarter of 2020. So if you're in business February 15th, 2020, you got less than 300 employees, obviously that's the first layer of qualification. Now, if you were in business the entire year of 2019, I want you to think about that. You must show one quarter in 2020 where revenues were at least 25% less than the same quarter in 2019. Okay. Now, again, we learned with the first round of relief funding that came out that the provisions change sometimes from week to week, sometimes from day to day. Okay. This whole bill that was written was over 2,000 pages. All right. Did I read 2,000 pages for this bill? Absolutely not. All right. I believe around 500 of those pages were allocated towards this program. Did I read 500 pages? Absolutely not. But obviously they got cliff notes out there for individuals who have connections in this industry to be able to get all of this information. So I'm pulling out the most relevant information and giving that to you. But it's important to understand that the information I'm giving you is relevant up to about 2 days ago. Okay. Now, some of this guidance may change by next week, but just understand that if it doesn't, this is the rules right now. Okay. So you must be able to compare a quarter from 2020 to a quarter of 2019 to be able to qualify. Okay. So let's say if you weren't in business the full year in 2019. So we say, no, we're going to go down in this flow chart. And let's say not in business in Q1 or Q2 of 2019, but you were in business for Q3 and Q4. And just to make sure I'm not talking over some people's head, if you're in business, you probably know what Q1, Q2, that's the quarter. Okay. So quarter one is January through March. Quarter two is April, May, and June. Quarter three is July, August, and September, right? Quarter four is the last 3 months, and some people may find that hilarious, but hey, if you don't know, you don't know. I had to learn that. Somebody else had to teach me, because growing up, nobody taught me about entrepreneurship. So hopefully some of you, if you didn't know that, you learned something new here tonight. But if you weren't in business in quarter one or quarter two of 2019, but you was in business from quarter three and quarter four of 2019, what's going to happen is you must show one quarter in 2020 where revenues were at least 25% less than quarter three or quarter four of 2019. Okay. So we're digging down a little bit. So you got to, figure out, when did you start your business, and start figuring out, how do I have to submit this information so I'll do it the right way so I can maximize my chances of getting funded. And if you find this too confusing, guess what? We got a solution for that. So hang around for that. All right. So check this out. You say, well, no, Rico, that's not my situation. Well, maybe this is your situation. You're not in business quarter one, quarter two, or quarter three of 2019, but you did start your business in the fourth quarter of 2019. That means that was either October, November, or December in 2019. Then what happens there, okay, is you must show one quarter in 2020 where revenues were at least 25% less than the fourth quarter in 2019. Okay. So in that scenario, obviously that may work out, a little better for people, because if you look at the first scenario that we talked about at the top, you got to compare one quarter to the same like quarter from the previous year. And that may just throw people off. They didn't really look at all the variables and how they could affect people being able to get this money. But when you look at this last scenario here, you can compare any quarter, okay, in 2020 to the last quarter of 2019. So that improves the chances of you being able to get approved. They didn't have many industrial engineers, figuring out these, these processes to see, who would get applied. I would have told them right there, no, we got to make this fairer, because it's better for this last scenario than the first. All right, so check it out. Maybe that's not your scenario. Maybe you weren't in business in 2019 at all, okay? Because some of you may say, oh, well, Rico, I started my business in January of 2020. Okay, cool. So if you were in business on February 2020, check this out. You must show 1 quarter in 2020 where revenues were at least 25% less than Q1 in 2020. Okay. I'm gonna say that again because I know a lot of y'all, if you've seen this for the first time, you're like, man, what does this mean? You must show 1 quarter in 2020 where revenues were at least 25% less than Q1 in 2020. Okay. So that means if you had some declines in this year prior to when you got started, then you'll be in a better situation. All right. So let me come out of here real quick to make sure my connection. Okay. Yeah. I wanted to make sure my connection was good. All right. And everybody still sees me. So let's keep rolling. All right. This is a chart that shows you, what these terms look like: interest rates, covered period, everything like that, forgiveness limits for the CARES Act. Okay. That's the first time they rolled out with the PPP program and the rules that were in place. And then the Flexibility Act that they passed a few months later, to kind of give some more flexibility with the payback, with the covered period, with the deferral period, right? And then they also relaxed some of these limits for you to be able to use more money for other things outside of payroll, okay? So with the CARES Act, it was a 1% interest rate. The term was 2 years, because y'all got to understand, even though if you plan on submitting forgiveness, this is still a loan, okay? And you have a deferral period to not pay anything. So if you actually start going through that deferral period, but you submit for forgiveness within that deferral period, and if the loan is forgiven and you never paid anything and you got this money, which essentially was a grant. But if you move outside of that deferral period of 6 months and you haven't applied for forgiveness, you're going to have to make a payment. And depending on how large the loan is going to be the loan payment you're going to make. So it's incredibly important that you read your agreement once you get it from the lender so you can know what you're looking at if you drag your feet. All right. So that deferral period means after you get the money, how long you have before you start paying it back. The covered period is the period of time that you have to calculate the expenses to be covered under the forgiveness. Loan forgiveness limits are the percentage of those expenses you can use within that covered period to go towards loan forgiveness. All right. So let's say, for example, if you got a $100,000 PPP loan, all right, in order for you, the maximum amount of payroll expenses you could use towards forgiveness in the scenario of the CARES Act would have been $75,000. Well, actually, that's the minimum. Okay. Would have been $75,000. Right. So the maximum payroll expenses you could have used is 25%. Now, if the loan was $100,000, $75,000 was your payroll expenses, then $25,000 is left. If you had $25,000 in payroll expenses, that would have been forgiven 100% in that particular scenario. The Flexibility Act gave us a little relief in terms of more than doubling the amount of time for the term, also almost doubling the deferral period and tripling the covered period. Okay. And then the minimum of payroll expenses went down, allowing you to have more non-payroll expenses. And that pretty much went over into this PPP2, which is, going to encompass the Flexibility Act that was passed initially. Okay. Now, and again, as I'm going through, if you got some questions, just put those questions in the question section, and then I'll cover those questions at the end. Okay. Additional eligible expenses. We'll run through these real quick. Operations expenses, whether it's software, cloud computing, HR, accounting expenses, property damage costs, repair expenses due to public disturbance is not covered by your insurance. If you live in areas where, maybe unfortunately it was some rioting that was going on because of some of the injustices that, we had to deal with, or some people just acting completely crazy, and your property got damaged as a result of that, then guess what? That could be covered up under this PPP loan. Supplier costs are essential to your business. Let's say you own a t-shirt business and you got to get your shirts from somewhere, because obviously you're just making, you're creating the graphics for the t-shirts and selling the shirts, but you're probably not making the t-shirts. You have suppliers that you get your shirts from. So those costs associated with those shirts you buy to actually create the graphics for the shirts and send them out, you'll be able to get that covered up under that as well. Worker protection expenditure, costs incurred to protect workers from COVID-19. So if you had to order different types of PPE or put different measures in your business, that's actually covered as well. Employer provided group insurance. This could be included in payroll costs. I was saying that earlier. If you have health insurance that you offer your employees, like our employees here at Nove, we pay a large percentage of their health insurance costs. And if we were applying for this loan and get approved for it, then guess what? We could actually include that in the forgiveness of the PPP loan. And you can request an increase for the first PPP loan if you got it and you did not include your owner's draw. Okay. One of the tricks I gave for a lot of businesses that consulted with me and they were looking for ways to maximize their PPP, they would have employees that they would pay a wage to, an hourly wage, and taxes would come out and things of that nature. But to reduce costs, they wouldn't have themselves on payroll. They would just actually take a draw. So they wouldn't, be paid hourly and have taxes taken out. Well, when the loan program came out, they were able to put themselves on payroll for that period of time when they actually before they submitted the information and then they got qualified. Well, after the Flexibility Act came out, they allowed owner's draw to be included in that. So no matter if the owners are on payroll or if they just take money out of the business, they're still able to include that amount into the calculations to be able to maximize the amount of the PPP loan. So that's incredibly important for you to understand, for all of you gig workers out there, for you 1099 independent contractors, people who are concerned about not being on payroll. Now you don't have that issue because you can actually apply for the PPP loan and utilize the money you're making as a 1099 worker or as a gig worker, or however you're paid in that calculation to be able to qualify for this PPP loan. There also was some concerns for seasonal employers. So what happens is obviously a seasonal employer is companies that operate and really make little to no money in certain parts of the year. Like I'll give you an example. Many tax professionals are seasonal employers, right? They get ramped up around December because when tax time hits in January, January, February, March, April, and even into May is big months. But then after that, it's like they don't really have any more business unless they're providing other services. So that's an example of a seasonal employer. Operates no more than 7 months a year, typically where they're making all their revenue, and earn no more than a third of its receipts, meaning revenue, in any 6-month period prior to the calendar year, can use the highest 12 consecutive weeks of payroll between February 15, 2019 and February 15, 2020. Now, why is this important? Because some of you still may not get it. You said, Rico, well, what does that matter? Well, that matters because that calculation I gave you earlier of 2.5 is going to be multiplied times the average payroll for this last year. So if it's the average payroll and you're a seasonal employer, let's say if you made $60,000 in the first 12 months of the year, and you made $10,000 in the first 6 months of the year, you made $60,000, and the last 6 months you made $5,000. Obviously, your numbers are going to be off from somebody who made $60,000 the first 6 months and the second 6 months. So they're allowing you to use a 12 consecutive week payroll to average that amount out, so you can make sure you're able to maximize whatever your loan size is. Again, that's great information. It's important that you understand that, because if you didn't catch this part, you would totally average out your annual payroll, and you would probably reduce the amount you're going to receive by more than 50 or 60%. And if this is going to be free money because you're going to get it forgiven, you are tremendously putting yourself in a disadvantage position. Okay. Before 501c6s were not eligible for the PPP loan. Now 501c6s are eligible and cannot have more than 15% of its revenue from lobbying efforts. Okay. And loans are going to be available through March 31st of 2021. This is another very important point. If money's left. Okay. So what you want to do right now is position yourself to be ready, because this thing may roll out and at the end of January, the money might be gone. I don't think it'll be going at the end of January, but I do believe maybe by the middle of February, potentially, maybe the end of February. But you want to go ahead and get positioned early. That's why you should pat yourself on the back for being tonight, because I'm giving you all the information so you can be prepared. So changes to the forgiveness of the PPP. Important you understand. And this is really something that's going to help the lenders out. They're really pleased about this. And also it's going to cause a heck of a lot less stress for businesses that fall up under this threshold. What threshold am I referring to? It's for the loans that are under $150,000. Okay, which the vast majority of the loans are going to be under that amount. All right, because if you think about it, someone with a payroll of let's say what's that $100,000. Okay, let's say $50,000. So 50,000. Let's say 75,000. So somewhere in the neighborhood, $100,000. If you multiply that $100,000 times 2.5, okay. That's going to put you at a $250,000 loan. All right. So obviously, most people don't have, that amount of money. Okay. Most people don't have that amount of money. So what you're looking at is somebody with, revenues or payroll of about 60,000 a month. That puts you at 150 grand. So if you don't have payroll costs of $60,000. Or more, you're going to fall up under this threshold. I hope that makes sense. I talked a lot, but there it is. 60 grand a month or less, then you're going to probably be below this threshold of 150,000. The forgiveness application is now a one-page certification. That's all, just one page. And it's very simple. Okay. The last forgiveness application was a lot. I mean, it actually took me, because most of my things I try to do myself unless it's real laborious. And I, give that to my CPA, but I wanted to do it myself so I could understand the programs. So any of our business owners, I could be able to help personally if they needed it. We're not going to need it this time. Why? Because it's actually a one-page application. And some of the things still may be laborious to some people, but we got a solution to that if you don't want to deal with it. So all you're going to do is enter your number of employees that you're able to retain through the period. Also the estimate of amount that you spent on payroll, the total loan amount, and then all you got to do is attest to use the use of funds for allowable expenses only. Now, what the guidance is lending to is basically if you get a loan of under $150,000 and you submit this information, you won't be audited. Okay, they're making it very simple. So these banks don't got to go through a lot of paperwork. It's going to reduce the paperwork with the SBA, so you're basically going to attest. That means you're basically signing this paper and say, hey, this is the truth. If you're below the $150,000 threshold, we know a lot of people, you heard about it on news, read it on the internet, seen it on social media. There's several people who went to jail, okay, or being investigated for getting hundreds of thousands of dollars or even millions of dollars in PPP money, and they didn't even have legit businesses. You don't want to be that person, okay? But if you get below 150,000, and if you have a legit business and nothing else that causes a red flag, you shouldn't have to lose sleep at night of worrying about being audited, all right? So you just need to make sure you keep your paperwork together. You submit this one-page application, and hey, just consider yourself blessed to get that money, okay? All right, so all you're gonna have to do is to attest to it. So there's not gonna be any real invasive type of investigation after you get the money, and after this application, unless you're doing something that's real fraudulent. If you have people who are doing this and don't have businesses at all and get this money, there's a possibility you may get found out. But if you have a legit business, if you have some employees, or if you're a gig worker and you're working yourself, that loan amount is under that amount, and you attest to it, right? Then you put yourself in a position of being able to get this forgiven, pretty quickly, relatively quickly, so you can move on with your life and grow your business. Because at the end of the day, the government really wants a lot of the disadvantaged businesses to be able to benefit, a lot of the small businesses to be able to benefit. About 40% of our economy is made up of businesses that have 10 or less employees. So it's incredibly important for those types of businesses to succeed if our economy is to succeed. All right. So, and I hit the mouse here, but it says the SBA will issue this form within 24 days of enactment. So before the end of this month, you should be able to see what that one-page form looks like. Targeted idle advances. Okay, that's the emergency, injury disaster loan. Most of these loans, when they initially came out, were for individuals who were typically in areas that were supported by, and hit by natural disasters and things of that nature. But when the pandemic hit, the government actually allocated billions of dollars just to the EIDL. And for a lot of you, you understood the first time around when I did the first webinar, everybody went crazy when they found out that you could qualify for a $10,000 advance, $10,000 grant. Like everybody was applying as soon as this came out. And it was so many people, the SBA started getting afraid that they would run out of money too quickly. So they changed the provision, like I was talking about earlier. And they said, well, instead of giving all the business owners a $10,000 advance, what we'll do is get them $1,000 per employee up to $10,000. So that changed the game for many people. Many people went from expecting a $10,000 advance to $1,000. Some people 2 or 3. That's cool because guess what? If you qualify this time, and by the way, this emergency grant program is going to be extended through the end of the year. If you qualify this time for the loan, okay, and you get the advance, the targeted advances are going to people that they can't have more than 300 employees, must be located in a low-income community. I'm going back again to show y'all what they're doing in this bill to be able to get people qualified, okay? You must be located in a low-income community and must have suffered an economic loss of greater than 30%. So after you fill out that information, and this 30% economic loss must be during an 8-week period between March 2002 and December 31st. That's March 2002, 2020, and December 31st, 2021, relative to an 8-week period preceding March 2nd, 2020 or 2019. Okay, so that's how you do those comparisons. They're kind of compared to what we were talking about with the quarters, except now you're comparing 2 8-week periods. All right, so don't stress yourself out too much about this, right? Put some numbers down on paper, look how everything adds up. You want to submit that information when you're applying for the application. So check it out. If you didn't receive an earlier advance, you will be able to get $10,000. All right, that's what they're saying right now. Okay, hopefully that's what it is. All right, hopefully they don't come out with any further guidance and change it up on us. If you didn't get 10 grand earlier, they're saying you're going to get 10 grand right now. You're saying, well, Rico, I didn't get 10 grand earlier. So can I get 10 grand now? Well, the question I would have is how much did you get earlier? Because that matters. See, if you did receive an earlier advance, you will receive a grant equal to $10,000 minus your earlier advance. So if your earlier advance was $3,000, then you could receive $7,000 this time around if you meet the criteria, okay? Now, this bill also repealed the idle advance deduction from forgiveness, all right? Well, what does that mean? So check it out. If you got the idle loan, let's say your loan was $30,000, and let's say you got an advance for $5,000, let's say a month before you ended up getting your loan in your bank account. Well, what they would do is subtract that money what they would do is subtract that from your forgiveness amount from your PPP loan. Let me retract that and move back. Let's say if you got a $30,000 PPP loan and you applied for forgiveness, and let's say you got a $5,000 advance, instead of them, granting you forgiveness on the entire $30,000, they would subtract the $5,000 you got from the advance because they already granted you $5,000. And they, of course, would forgive the $25,000, but that would leave you a $5,000 loan that you still had to repay. Okay. This bill actually went back and repealed that. Okay. So what that means is they're making you whole. If you are left with a loan on PPP1 as a result of getting the advance, that loan is going to be forgiven. And this time around, you'll be able to not have that affect your PPP. Let's get into the guaranteed loan relief. This pays an additional 3 months of principal and interest on all existing SBA 7A loans, SBA 504 loans, and SBA micro loans. If you don't have any existing SBA loans, don't worry about any of this because it's going to probably confuse you. If you have existing loans, or if you have people in your family or business partners that have SBA loans, this is great information for them. Now, this begins in February of 2021. So they're gearing up to put all this on their books, and it's going to be capped at $9,000 per month. I mean, imagine if you're a business and you had an $8,000 per month bill, principal and interest to the SBA. And for the next 3 months, they were going to pay it for you and forgive it. That's 24 grand you're basically getting in a grant. Okay. After 3 months, businesses with selected NAICS codes, okay, we talked about that earlier, Northern American Industry Classification System, whatever your code is, if you have selected codes, you'll receive an additional 5 months of principal and interest payments capped at $9,000 per month. Okay, so a lot of these you would probably think this is dealing with restaurants, this is dealing with hospitality industry type companies, this is dealing with companies, events, places that, typically get their business from the large gathering of people. Obviously, they couldn't do that. So what they want to make sure is that they are being a solution to them outside of this other money that we're talking about. Okay, so continued information on debt relief. Check it out. Pay 6 months of principal and interest for any new SBA guaranteed loan approved before September 30th of 2021. That's the deferral period we were talking about. Remember I talked about the PPP loan has a deferral period. The EIDL has a deferral period. That's the deferral period I'm talking about for any new SBA loans that are rolling out. Plus 3 months after the first 6 months and 5 months if you have a qualifying NAICS code. Okay, so we're basically talking about really collectively, 10 months, because obviously when you first get the loan, your payment is not due to after the first 30 days, but they're going to give you 9 months after that to be able to make your first payment. So it's really 10 months after you actually receive the money. So this is amazing if you put yourself in a position to get it. Improvements have been made to the SBA 7A program, where they've actually increased the SBA guarantee level to 90% and reduced or eliminated some fees. So I'm not going to go into that because many of you probably don't have 7A loans, but you can look up more information about that on the SBA website. 15 billion in SBA grants. Theatrical producers or talent representatives, operators in live venues, live performing arts organizations, museums, independent motion picture theaters. If you know anybody in that industry, you want to make sure you get them this information. They got to be able to demonstrate at least a 25% reduction in revenue. If they were making money before, obviously they probably shouldn't have a problem with this. And it can be up to $10 million with a potential supplement of $50,000. This is going to bring back a lot of jobs, especially in states like Georgia that are really heavy, with shooting movies and shows and things of that nature. $2 billion is set aside for those who have less than 50 employees. So there's more money, again, for those smaller type companies. Look, if you receive a grant, you cannot participate in PPP2. All right, so it's important to understand when I'm talking about a grant, I'm not talking about an EIDL. I'm talking about all these other grants that I just talked about. In the initial 14 days of the program, grants will exclusively be made to those with 90% or greater revenue loss. So they want to get with the businesses that are hit the hardest in order to get these grants to these venues. In the second 14 days, grants will be to those with 70% or greater loss. And after 2 rounds, all other qualifying entities will receive awards. So if you don't fit those first 2, which is, basically the first month, you'll be able to get in after that. And I got a feeling some funds will be left because some people just really won't read the information that's associated with getting, what they need. Also, 15 billion set aside for community development financial institutions. And this is basically financial institutions in low income areas to be able to get out these funds, and also minority depository institutions. That's individuals that own banks or credit unions that are people of color. Okay, so they're allocating money to these organizations to actually give them out in their communities. So it's very important. In fact, what I'm going to do is put up a list of CDFI lenders and MDI lenders within the next couple of days on our website. So you can look to see if there are any in your local area where you can go and get that loan service that you're going to get here, and then maybe even give them your business after you do some research. And obviously make sure that, what they have going on matches up with your goals. You like them. You definitely want to support these organizations. We actually are going to be doing it internally as well. Programs targeted at specific business segments. and you need to jot these down and take a picture or a screenshot of this. I was just talking to a new franchise owner today with Nové. They just got started today, but they closed down their childcare business some months back, and they're deciding to open it up in a couple of months, and they didn't even know about this government program that has set billions of dollars aside for people who actually own childcare businesses. Okay, so you want to make sure that you are researching and have this in, because we're going to be putting all this information on our website, so you'll be able to stay up to date. I'm going to be doing more webinars on this information, but basically there's billions of dollars going to be allocated to childcare providers, transportation providers, rental assistance, agricultural. So if you're in those different industries, guess what? You got some more money that's actually coming your way. Now, there's also some provisions that came out to resolve a lot of the tax issues and concerns that people had. And some of you may be looking right now, and Rico, I don't really have, I don't really know what you're talking about. It really doesn't matter. Well, I can tell you this right here. It's going to matter, right? Because if you start receiving 1099s, and that's just forms basically of the government reporting that you had 10, 20, 50, $100,000 more dollars in income, then that means your tax liability increases, right? That means more money you're paying to the government. So listen, if you don't make much money in your life, you're never really going to have to worry about taxes, because the government can't get much from you if you don't have much. But if you want to become wealthy, you got to learn how the game is played so you won't be leveraged, okay? And the reason why you want to pay attention to webinars like this or conference calls or join organizations that really give you some enlightenment into what's going on in the business world around you, and to give you some personal growth and self-development, is to do one thing, and that's to build wealth. Okay, that's something that has been hidden from our communities for ages. In fact, since this whole institution of the United States of America has existed. So if you're tired of that for your family tree, somebody got to pay attention. Somebody got to get excited about learning something new that they didn't know before, so somebody could get some different results for a legacy that's going to be left for their family. That was good, wasn't it? All right, that's my soapbox moment. I'm off of that. But I'm serious. I'm serious. So make sure that you're not taking this information lightly, because what we want to teach you to do, with Nové, if you didn't know, we inspire people to get more out of life. We educate people on ways to go about it, and we provide opportunities to make it happen. Inspiration, education, and opportunity, that's the foundation to what we do. And if you have those things, I'm telling you, there's no limits to what you can achieve in your life. I'm evidence of it in my own life. We have other members who are evidence of it in their lives, and you can be evidence of it too. That's like a little short commercial. I didn't even plan on saying that. But hopefully you understand the spirit of where I'm going with this. The bottom line is I want to make sure everybody understands this, and I don't take for granted one person that may not understand it, and they don't understand the magnitude of it. So that message could have been for you. I'm sorry for the person that already understands all of this and was irritated by this little short blurb, but it was for that person that needed it. All right, I digress. So expenses paid by PPP funds can be claimed as business expenses. Before, that was an issue, okay? They actually resolved this with the IRS and the Treasury, because guidance was given before that it would constitute as double dipping, and they couldn't be used as business expenses. So for example, if you apply for forgiveness and there were $20,000 in expenses that you claimed for forgiveness, what the IRS would do, where you would normally write those expenses off, they would actually send you a 1099 for that $20,000. So it's like you earn income, so you would have to actually pay taxes on that $20,000. And depending on your tax bracket, that could have been 20%, 30%, or 40%. Obviously, you weren't planning on paying an additional $8,000 to Uncle Sam. Well, guess what? You don't have to worry about that anymore, because that's covered. So it makes the language retroactive, as it's included with the original CARES Act. So instead of you getting a 1099 from the money that you probably wrote off that was probably forgiven, here within the next few weeks, you're not going to get it, because they changed this with this provision. Debt relief payment of principal and interest will not be treated as income either, okay? So that's, again, really, really good, because with the example I gave all of y'all earlier, man, if you got $50,000 of your SBA loan paid off, you're grateful for that. But the last thing you want is a tax bill taxing you on that $50,000. You don't have to worry about that, okay? So it reversed previous guidance on that as well. So key milestones, and we got to wrap this thing up here shortly. Remember, stay to the end, because you want that information I was telling you about. So this thing just became law a few days ago. they actually have 10 days, according to the bill, to start implementing regulations due to the underserved guidance. Okay, all of that's due underserved guidance. And what underserved guidance means is the guidance that they're providing about low-income communities. They got to shape that thing up and get that out here, right? More than likely, it's going to be based on information that's coming from the census, right? What the income level is in certain areas, in zip codes. And if your business is located in those areas and you fall up under that threshold, then guess what? You'll be qualified. Okay. In 14 days, the guidance for the PPP1 increase is due. So we're looking at that within the next week or so. Venue operators funded broadly available within the next 60 days. And again, March 31st is when the application for PPP2 has ended. Don't put that on your calendar and plan to apply mid-March. Again, you want to go ahead and get started with this right away, right? They don't have applications available yet, but there are ways where you can get in line and hold your place in queue to be one of the first ones that get your application processed. I'm going to tell you how you can do that. September of 2021, last day for loan approval to qualify for debt relief. Okay, so you want to make sure if you got some of those SBA loans that you go ahead and do that, because again, that's just free money. And the last day of this year is the last day to apply for targeted EIDL advance. So you want to do that as quickly as possible as well. So what should you do now? That's the big question. Okay, the next thing you should do, if you haven't already, is to go ahead and text this number, new money, so you can stay up to date with what we have going on. Text 94253 to new money so you can join our list, so you can know what's going on. And we also have different lending programs because of the lenders that we're partnered with as a company. We can put people in special positions that maybe they can't find anywhere else. So you want to text the keyword new money to 94253, so you can make sure you're on this list to receive this information. And when I start answering the questions, I will get somebody from our staff to tell me who won that $100. So how can we assist? On our website, novemoney.com, which, by the way, if you got referred by one of our affiliates, they have their own unique link, their own unique website they'll be giving you. For some of you who just found out about this webinar, maybe because you've been following us for a while, on our homepage, there's a button that says COVID-19 funding. Okay, you can see that right here to the right. That's what it looks like, but it's in the middle of our page on our homepage. If you click on COVID-19 funding, what I want you to do is pay attention to the first section that comes up, and that shows you how to get yourself in position for the PPP loans. The PPP loans are going to go much faster than the EIDL loans. Okay. And also you'll be able to get advances and things of that nature. But the reason why you want to get in line for the PPP loans right away is because this is the free money. What I mean by free money, this is the money that you can get forgiven if you follow the guidelines. Okay. Obviously you're eligible, you qualify, you get the money, and you fill out the one page, or if you get somebody to help you, then guess what? Boom. That's free money. And you want to be able to position yourself to level up this year by getting everything you can. Okay. They call that leverage. There are two options to be able to position yourself with this PPP. Option number one, for those of you who feel like you're competent, for those of you who feel like you can do everything yourself, we got an option you'll be able to click once the lenders open up with taking applications. You can go here, click, and you can apply for the PPP loan right on our website, right? No cost to you whatsoever. Go through it, get all your documents, submit everything to the lender. If you have questions, you can do some research, figure out how to maximize it, figure out how to get loan forgiven. If you can do all that yourself, you can do it on our site for no charge whatsoever. Okay, we have an option for you to do it yourself. But then we have people that would like assistance. We have people that actually can get in a queue right now prior to the lenders opening up their gates for you to be able to come in and apply. So you can be one of the first people to actually get all of your documents positioned by an expert team of loan professionals to have you in place to go ahead and not only get approved, but after you get approved, get the loan forgiven as well. Okay, so we have actually partnered with the hedge fund. Okay, this hedge fund has been granted more than $4 billion. $4 billion with a B to be able to lend out. And through this partnership, we're able to extend this white glove loan servicing where basically you can get started with an application fee that's non-refundable of $49. Okay, and the reason why it's non-refundable because if you drop your feet with doing what you need to do after the process gets started, obviously, just going to keep you $49. That's not a lot of money, but basically when people put some money in the game, then obviously they pay more attention. And also we want people who are serious. $49 non-refundable application fee. And after that, you're going to receive an email. After you do it, the next day, next business day, you're going to receive a DocuSign. It's going to walk through everything that we promised to deliver with this lender, letting you know what we're going to do, being able to get you a personalized portal that's going to be password protected, where you're going to be able to log in, upload all of your documentation. You're going to be able to see all the updates on your loan status. Also, you're going to have support. So if there's things that you don't understand, questions in the application that you need help with, documentation that you need help with submitting, everything is going to be done through that portal and through the agents, through the hedge fund. They actually have a huge call center set up with experts, a lending team that's going to help you get these things processed and help you maximize the opportunities you have with getting the money for the PPP loan. Because obviously the win-win situation is the more money they help you get approved for, the more money they make, the more money we all make, right? So that puts you in a position to do things the right way. Now, there's obviously a cost for that white glove service. It's 5% of your funded amount. And some people may say, well, Rico, I don't want to pay anything in my funded amount. Well, that's okay. You can choose option one. If you want help and pretty much a straightforward process to be able to track everything, to be able to ask somebody questions, to be able to make sure you're doing everything the right way, to be able to make sure after you get the funds, you can actually go back in and apply for forgiveness and get your loan forgiven. If you want all that to be in place and don't have to wreck your brain on how to make things happen, then you'll choose option two, which is the white glove PPP loan servicing. And that's only 5% of your total loan amount, which will be deducted after you get your PPP funds. Okay, so there's no money up front outside of that $49 application fee. Also, the other benefit of this is you're able to do that right now. Okay, so if they make these links available to apply for the PPP, let's say in 7 days, let's say in 10 days, you'll already be further up in the queue to be submitted, because once you pay your application fee, once you get your portal, okay, within the next 3 days or so, after you pay your application fee and you sign the agreement, you're going to be able to go ahead and submit all your documentation in your portal. Okay, so as soon as the light switches on or the gates open up for applications to come, yours is automatically pushed through. Because with our fintech, okay, that's financial technology, and the lender that we're with, the hedge fund, is you're already going to be in the queue in order for your application to go through with all the necessary documentation. A lot of people end up submitting stuff, they submit it wrong, the lender kicks it back, and it's a back and forth situation, typically online or through email, and that's going to delay you being able to get your funds or maximize the opportunity for you to get approved, or even to get approved at all. If you want to cut all that off, obviously you can do this other option. Or again, if you're competent enough to make it happen, you can do it yourself. So I want everybody to understand this is not mandatory, but this is a white glove service that we're providing, but we'll also provide you a free option if you like that as well. So that was one of the things I said I was going to give you at the end of the presentation, is an opportunity to get your PPP loan submitted for you. The other thing I'm giving you is the free app I was talking about. The name of this app is Hello Skip. Okay. We're contacted by this company some days ago. And, because we have such a large client base all across the country, because we have such a large affiliate base, they wanted to give us an opportunity to be one of the users on this app as they get ready to roll them out. They hit up our organization, a few other organizations, and I believe they're already probably have over 50,000 people within the first few days that's on this platform. So you all have an opportunity to go ahead and download this application, get on the platform, and you'll be able to submit your application for your EIDL loan and your EIDL advance for free on this app. And it also allows you to track it as well. So you're going to be able to submit the application on the app, which is super easy, super intuitive, because they partner with the SBA and they have APIs and integrations to kind of work with that. And then you'll also be able to track the progress of that EIDL application towards getting the advance, which is the grant, and also getting the loan if you want to be able to be approved for it. In addition to that, If you qualify for the stimulus payment of $600 or the additional $1,400, it's probably going to end up coming. You can actually track those payments as well in this application. Many people don't know about this application. Again, you're putting yourself in front of the crowd to be able to have the tools, resources, and opportunities to be able to leverage to go out here and win in business. And as you can see, the app has all other things as well, that you can take advantage of. But that's the application that's going to have the idle things for us. So real quick, let me give you these 11 tips. I'm going to tell you how you can get in touch with us, and then we're going to send you off after I answer some questions that you all may have. Okay. So first thing, let's talk about how to prepare to make it through this crisis. Obviously, we're still in the middle of a pandemic, but like I told you before, at some point, we're going to have to reconcile all the money that was put out from the government. There has to be a reconciliation, and you got to be prepared for that. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, ask somebody who understands, just the way money works in this country, just the way any economy works. And it's important to understand you got to get prepared. So let's talk about how to get prepared. Number one, you want to review the program's criteria. That's what we talked about tonight. You want to apply as soon as possible. So what I recommend is you choose an option 2 that I talked about earlier for the PPP loan. It's only $49 tonight. You'll get the agreement. If you don't agree to the agreement after you get it, you can cancel it. And I say it's non-refundable, but if you don't sign the agreement, we'll give you your $49 back, because we don't want $49. There's a lot more money than $49. We just want serious people who want to position themselves to win. So you need to go ahead and position yourself to get in line for that PPP. You choose option 2, you'll go in the queue, be one of the first ones submitted. Outside of that, you want to download this app, be ready for when the idle program opens back up to submit that information, and you can track everything electronically on there. The 2 things we got working for on our side is the technology associated with both of those options, okay? So you want to do that as soon as possible. Next thing is you want to get as much unsecured revolving credit capacity as possible. It's very important y'all take notes on what I'm giving you right now, because this, again, is going to put you in a better situation moving into this new year, even if you're in a decent situation right now, even if you're in a good situation. I know plenty of people that have a decent amount of money and they have good credit, but they really don't have what we call revolving credit capacity. The reason why you want revolving credit capacity is unsecured, because if things happen, you can put yourself in a position not to have to downsize as quickly, or not to have to start selling things, or move out of your house, or send back your car. Or if you lose your job, you can have some money to be able to bridge, that point of either starting a business or finding a new job. You need to have what we call reserves, okay? This revolving credit is not only going to be able to position you to have reserves, but also it's going to be investable capital, all right? You can be able to take this money and invest into different things. Now, we got a program that if you got over a 700 credit score, we can get you up to $250,000 in unsecured funding. We call it UBF, Unsecured Business Funding. This is one of the things you need to do, whether you do it through Nove or whether you do it on your own through somebody else. You need to put this on your list to pick up some unsecured revolving credit, okay? And if you're in the business world, you need unsecured business funding. And that's something that we can help you out with, okay? And there's no money up front to get you started on that program. You want to ensure your credit is strong, at least a 700 or above if possible. I'm telling y'all right now, I don't know if you know about the credit bureaus, and if you know about the credit scoring systems, Vantage Score and FICO Score. A lot of us who've been around a while and lived our life and gotten some loans and some credit cards and made some mistakes, we all have credit scores, right? And some of your credit scores may be a little lower than others. Some of you may have higher credit scores. It's important for everyone that's listening to me right now is to develop a higher credit score and stay consistent there, because the new changes that are coming within the next few months are going to really put everybody behind, because the credit scoring systems are not going to start looking at just what happened over the last 30 days or the last 60 days. It's going to start looking at activity on your credit that happened over the last year to 2 years. So what that means is it's going to take a lot longer for individuals' credit scores to rise, because what they're doing is looking at accumulation of the behavior on your credit from the past couple of years instead of the past 30 days. There's a lot of things that's going to happen that's really going to make the middle class disappear and make the people who are in the lower class go lower. And I'm not here to scare you. What I'm here to do is to prepare you. And if you don't think that what I'm talking about is real, just do a little research on the economy in China right now. In fact, their credit scores in China are now based on their income. So I want you to think about that. If you don't have much money in the bank, if you're not making much money and your credit scores are attached to your income, then that means if your income is low, your credit is going to be low. So if you have no money, if you have no credit, if you have no equity because you don't own anything, then that means you're going to be restricted from building a legacy. That's why you got to get prepared. And that's why I'm so passionate about what we do here with Nove. And it's incredibly important for you to understand that you got to put yourself in another position. Let me tell y'all the reason why I know that's coming, so you don't think I'm just trying to sell Nove. Okay. You ever heard of Experian Boost? Okay. Experian Boost is a product that Experian, the credit bureau, sells, where they'll allow you, if you connect to your bank accounts to their system and they can see where you're actually paying certain bills, they'll boost your credit score. And it seems like a win-win situation, doesn't it? Oh my God, all I got to do is put in my bank account information and they can see I'm paying these bills and boom, my score got boosted. That's what their commercials like. Just boost your score. Score goes up 25 points because they see you pay your cell phone bill, your light bill, water bill, whatever. Well, check it out. Now what Experian is doing, because Experian really doesn't care about credit scores, what Experian cares about is data. So they're collecting all this data because that's important for all these different businesses that's out here. And they start connecting your credit score to all this data, which now starts to include your income, which puts you in a disadvantageous position. So follow me on this. I'm not telling you something that I think. I'm connected to a lot of smart people in this industry and been blessed and fortunate to get to a certain level myself. And what we're doing is we're helping you so you can move forward. Because if everybody had the feeling of being free, if everybody had the feeling of doing what they want to do when they want to do it, if everybody had the feeling of operating in their purpose, the reason why I'm so passionate about this is because I'm passionate about what I do. This is my purpose for being on this earth. And being in Nove may not be your purpose, but what if Nove could get you closer to doing whatever your purpose is? So that's what I want everybody to take from what I'm talking about here. Number 4, maximize or minimize your tax liability by revisiting your W-4 and adjusting it correctly. It's no better time to take a look at that right now, because moving into a new year, obviously you're going to get your W-2 soon. And you're going to be able to see how much money you paid in taxes last year. See, a lot of people don't even think about paying taxes, because if you're employed and you get a check and taxes come out and you get a check, you don't think about paying taxes because your whole life it's just been going straight to Uncle Sam. And obviously we have a fiduciary responsibility to pay back to the country. But do you understand that people like Bill Gates and Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and the Google guys, all of them actually pay a less tax rate than you, and you got a job and they're billionaires because they understand the game. So you want to maximize your tax liability. That's like the first step, right? Of minimizing your tax liability and adjusting your W-4. And if you don't know how to do that, we actually got a free course that teaches you that. Very short video. Boom, you can instantly start, putting $300 or $400 in your paycheck on your job every week or every other week. Man, it's awesome. I haven't had a job, in almost 2 decades, but I'm telling you it works because I see it work for so many people. If you don't have a business yet, start one. I don't care where it is. Start an LLC and figure out a way to start getting money to come into the LLC. If you got a dream, if you've been excited about something, if something that, gets you excited just to think about how you can serve somebody, it could be a product, it could be a service, you could be singing, you could be tap dancing, you could take some pictures and put them on the internet, whatever it is. Start you an LLC tonight, okay? You can actually do that tonight. If you don't know how to do it, we actually have a button on our website that'll do it for you for free. Business services on our website will start you an LLC for free. I'm not kidding. You got to pay the filing fee because you got to pay that fee in every state. But there's no service fee for them to help you start an LLC. Start a business because that's going to also help you minimize your tax liability and also put you, in the mindset of being an owner. Number 6, maximize your tax deductions with the right business type, okay? You want to maximize your tax deductions with the right business type, all right? And I got the winner for the Cash App, so make sure y'all stay on here because I'm going to tell you who it is, okay? I know she texted several people, but the first one who responded is the one that's going to get this. Number 6 is maximize tax deductions with the right business type. I've always liked to be involved with businesses that gives me the ability to write off as much as I can so I can pay as least amount of taxes as possible. Now, I'm not telling you to avoid taxes. What I'm telling you is to decrease your tax liability. So what we're talking about, you decreasing your tax liability, not avoiding to pay taxes, because you can go to jail for that, okay? And you can make a lot more money out of jail, probably have a lot more fun too. All right, so you want to start a business. Like in our business, you can write off traveling to different places because we do a lot of fun things. We go to a lot of meetings, even with COVID going on, going out to dinner. I mean, it's a lot of stuff, buy certain things. I mean, and you could write it off on your business. You can find out more about that later. This is really important. Number 7, work on building emergency funds as soon as possible, okay? You need a mini emergency fund, $3,000 saved up that you don't touch, and a true emergency fund, 6 months of your expenses saved up. Why do you need a mini emergency fund and a true emergency fund? Your mini emergency fund is used for mini emergencies. You wake up in the morning, about to go to work, walk outside, 4 tires, all flat, okay? Listen, if you got a mini emergency fund, that's a small problem. If you don't have a mini emergency fund, you live in paycheck to paycheck, that's a big problem, okay? So that mini emergency fund is there to just take away certain things that may be irritating, but you could cover it, okay? Your true emergency fund is to cover you and your family if you get laid off, if your business goes under, if something happens and you're going to need money to survive. 6 months, that's half a year. That's a pretty good period of time to find something else to do. But if you don't have that in place, that's why people go homeless, right? That's why people have to do things to compromise their integrity. That's why people have to do things that they regret. That's why people have to treat people wrong and say stuff that's crazy because they need money. You don't want to put yourself in a situation where you compromise your character, who you are, for some money, for a dollar bill, for a Bitcoin, for a stock option. I don't care what it is, right? You want to always be able to live with yourself. And that's why you need some security. That's why you want to be able to have good credit. That's why you want to be able to start saving, right? That's why you want to be able to own something, have some equity in your own business, in your own home, start investing. All those things, that's what I'm talking about here. Number 8, budget and shift cash flow to bills bypass to pay down debt. Now, there are some companies that you owe money to right now that have programs where they're allowing you to not pay some bills right now. If you have a lot of debt, what I want you to do is take advantage of those programs that don't charge you more interest, that allow you not to pay, and take that money from those bills and put it on bills that are making you pay with higher interest and get those bills paid off while they're giving you leniency not to pay. So when you pay those bills off, you can take that big chunk and come back and pay down these bills. So the next thing you know, we come out of this whole pandemic, you'll be debt free. Okay? So that's what we call game. Okay? That's, I think, what the young boys call game. Put you on game. Okay? Number 9, don't tell my son I said that. Number 9, apply for mortgage loan forbearance. Okay? Now, the only reason why you want to do this again is if your funds are tight. If you can afford to pay, because most of these mortgage companies, to my understanding, are not waiving your payments. What this forbearance is doing is they're going to put the amount you don't pay on the back end of your loan. And that's going to add more interest, and that's going to extend the amount of time you have to pay. The only reason why you want to do that, if you can't pay, like if you're living paycheck to paycheck right now, and if your mortgage company offers you loan forbearance, you need to take loan forbearance. Rico, why would you say that? I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I can pay my bills. What if you lose your job tomorrow? So the last 6 months, you've been paying your mortgage company, and they would have let you forbear the payments, but you've been paying them, and God forbid you lose your job. Now you don't have any money to pay anything, and if forbearance ended, then you're out of your place to stay. So you want to be able to build up those emergency funds, and you want to be able to stack some money and forbear payments until you can know that you're secure, especially during this pandemic. Number 10, put loose change to the side. Obviously a lot of people now, they're not spending cash because of the pandemic, so they're using their cards. But, when I was out spending a lot of cash, I would always take any change, any $1 bills and any $5 bills and throw them in the change jar. All right. My pocket really got a lot of cash, and I throw 5s and 10s and 20s in the change jar, and you'll be amazed after a while how much money you got stacked up, right? But just always empty that loose change out. Well, they have apps out there that allow you to take the excess change that comes from a purchase and put that into an account from your credit card. So that's something you need to look into. Also adjusting your thermostat 1 degree. That'll save you on your power bill. Okay. So for those of you who get real cold, but listen, if your money tight, you got to be cold. Like you got to buy some sweatshirts and thermal socks and stuff like that. You know, you might be laughing, but I'm serious. Like you can't afford to be warm. Okay. If you're living paycheck to paycheck. And I'm not saying that because, you know, I'm financially good right now. I'm saying that because I used to be financially bad. Like I used to be broke. I used to live paycheck to paycheck. And the only reason why I got to this level is not because I just worked hard and I started a business. Let me tell you, it was also because of discipline. Okay. So you need better discipline. So everything I'm telling you right now is going to give you better discipline. Adjusting that thermostat, putting that change to the side, putting a plan together to start putting money to the side to get that mini emergency fund funded, to get that true emergency fund funded. And lastly, join a support group that's going to help reinforce that discipline. They help you make new lifestyle choices. If you start out this new year and you know you got health issues, maybe you got high blood pressure, maybe you got high cholesterol, and you know that there are certain foods you can't eat. You can't hang around that friend to go to lunch or dinner that likes to eat the bad food that's about to kill you. Even though the friend loves you, even though they're a foodie, you're a foodie, you got to make different decisions. Why? Because you're going to die. Dying ain't fun. You know, I ain't never experienced it, but I can tell you right now, all of us should want more time. All of us should want to maximize our time. So guess what? We got to change our habits. Guess what? Being broke ain't fun. Struggling financially, that ain't fun. Having high blood pressure because you don't know if you're going to have a job or where this or that is going to come from, that ain't fun. But guess what? There are solutions. That's why I'm excited about what we got going on, and I'm excited about being able to help y'all get there. So the first thing you want to do tonight, again, go ahead and get that PPP started. Option 2 on the website. You know, what we'll probably end up doing is taking in, you know, we'll take this in tiers, maybe the first 200 applicants over the next couple of days. We might shut it off after that, you know, then open it back up the next week for another 200 applicants, you know, and just see how it goes. And once they open up the floodgates, then we'll let everybody else in. So if you want to go ahead and get in early, you want to go ahead and make that happen. Again, it's only $49, right? Lastly, let me tell y'all what we offered, and I'm going to take these questions, okay? These are all the things that Nove offers, right? And we got a corporate office. In fact, I'm here in my corporate office right now in Conyers, Georgia. We have an office with real employees, okay? You know, we have bilingual customer service, speak English and Spanish right here in our office, Monday through Friday from 10 to 4. It's closed to the public right now because of COVID, but obviously we're in here working every single day. Our phone number is right here on the site. You can reach us by email as well. We got chat on our website. You can text that phone number. And any questions about our loan programs, which, by the way, we have a program right now, No Money Down, to start building your business credit and give you access to immediate cash of about $12,000. And all you got to have is a 620 credit score and make at least $40,000 a year. And you can start building your business credit for your business, get $12,000 you know, in funding right away, and it's less than like $350 a month in payments, right? And start building your business credit. So that's amazing. But we got other loan programs. We do commercial loans, we do term loans, we do business cash advances and things of that nature. Okay. All right. And lastly, oh yeah, so also personal credit building. If you got some issues with that, we got personal credit building products, debt, you know, debt elimination software, budgeting tool. Business credit building, start building that business credit through your EIN and your Paydex number, you know, that's in contrast to your FICO score. So Paydex score, FICO score, Paydex business, FICO personal. Okay, we do that on your Paydex that goes through your EIN, and we help you do that with a team of advisors. We have personal loan programs, business funding, and check this out, y'all. I should have said this at the beginning for those people who dropped off early. You know, hopefully everybody stayed around. But we got a real estate investing education program that's coming out. So when I talk about what we focus on is building a legacy. Like we're not out here selling something that's not needed, right? What we offer is an opportunity for somebody to change their family tree. for generations. You know, my family will never be the same again for eternity, because not only am I making money, but what I'm doing is I have information. When I started my journey, I prayed to God that, listen, even if you don't give me an opportunity to make $1 million, let me learn enough so I can teach my son how to. Because even if I don't get it, but my son does, or my daughter does, then the generations after me will still be good. And I'm grateful that I've been able to do it. And now my son that I prayed for that will be able to learn this information works with me. You know, he's a part of the family business now. Our daughter's in the office. My wife works here. You know, so the bottom line is what we're doing is creating a legacy for ourselves, but we found a way to squeeze your dreams into this little world of ours as well. We have affiliates all across the country, you know, that are squeezing your dreams inside of theirs as well. You know, and we have a team of people here to help you accomplish those dreams. All right. So with that being said, oh, and also entrepreneurship opportunities, I forgot to mention that, you know, in addition to all these other things that we offer for clients, we also have an opportunity for you to be able to offer these things and make some additional income or make a full-time income. We also have a white label franchise program where if you take a look at our site and what we offer, we build you your own site under your own brand, and you can get paid for offering those things as well. All right. So with that being said, let me go ahead and come off of screen sharing and answer some of these questions. Well, was that good or what? I still got a lot of y'all out there talk to me. Was that good or what? All right, so I got a few questions here. I'm going to answer some questions. Good gracious. So these are more than a few questions. All right, so let's see. I was in business but didn't get an EIN until June and still not LLC. Will I at least qualify for SBA grant? Now, you got to be in business February 15th, 2020. Okay, so that's the rule. Say business till June. Okay, so no, February 15th, 2020. Can you please address those of us? What, sorry? Winner. Oh, the winner of the $100 cash giveaway, the drawing, is Darian Simon. Darian Simon. Congratulations. We're going to be sending $100 to your Cash App momentarily. So watch out for that, Darian. All right. You can only get this if you're on payroll. Shanae. That's S-H-A-N-A-Y. Not to be confused with my wife, S-H-A-N-E-E. No, you don't have to be on payroll. As I was saying earlier, you can take an owner's draw and actually still qualify based on the expenses associated with what you're paying yourself. So you can be a gig worker, you know, or you can just be a 1099 employee. If you can qualify based on those other eligibility requirements that you attest to, you can qualify and actually get the money. Can you get PPP2 if you got funding the first time? And I'm assuming this person maybe asked this at the beginning before I got there, but obviously, yes, you can get PPP2 if you got PPP1. The easiest way to do this, ladies and gentlemen, if you already got the SBA EIDL, they're saying the initial provision is saying that SBA will reach out to everyone who got the first loan and ask them if they want to reapply. So you should be getting an automated email about, you know, reapplying for the new round of funding. If you own a PPP, you want to check with your lender if you got it the first time to see if they're doing it again. And if they are, they probably already email you to let you know. Okay. So you can check that out that way. But no, you didn't have to have it the first time to apply for it the second time. So that's the reason why you want to go for it the second time. What if the last time you had revenue was 2018? Okay. So if the last time you had revenue was 2018, then the question I would have is, did the business dissolve? Because if the business is dissolved and you didn't reactivate it in 2019 and 2020, then you could not file for this, right? You know, but they're saying that it has to be comparable revenue from 2020 to 2019. So I would believe that you would not be eligible. What I would do if you are not certain is still take your shot, right? On our site, you can apply regardless for free with option one. There's no application fee. There's no success fee to get the loan. You do it for free. So I suggest you do it, to see what happens. Or if you want some guidance on doing it, pay the $49 application fee. Let our lending team work with you. And if you're able, obviously, to get approved, fantastic. If you're not, after they go through the process, it was only $49, but you still took your shot. So if y'all are unsure if you qualify or not, I would suggest still applying regardless, because you literally have nothing to lose but a little time, and $49 if you choose to go with the hedge fund lender that we're working with. You don't do taxes quarterly. How do they compare? Marquise asked that. Marquise, this is not based off of you doing taxes quarterly. This is just based off of your revenues quarterly. Okay, so this has nothing to do with your taxes in order for you to see what the eligibility is. So hopefully that answered your question. Shay asked, what happens if you are in business the whole year 2019 and 2020 and you actually increase in volume due to the job I do? My kids started flowing in. Okay, so now if you're talking about a job, this wouldn't apply because this is for a business. Okay, so I want to make sure I make that clear. Unless you're just saying job and you're making that synonymous with your task that you do for your business. If you show an increase compared to the previous quarter, then by definition, you don't qualify. All right. What I would recommend is you all go back and you look. And somebody said gross revenue. That's correct, Diane. Gross revenue. So look and compare those numbers, because what you're going to do when you're submitting this application is you're going to attest to these numbers. And when you submit the application, you end up getting the funding. All right. So that's just important for you to be able to hear what I'm saying there. When can you apply for forgiveness for the EIDL, not PPP? Jolanda, the EIDL does not offer forgiveness. Okay. You have the EIDL advance and you have the EIDL loan. The EIDL advance is a grant that if you qualify, they will give you, and you do not have to pay it back. Now, the way you get the advance is you apply for the EIDL loan. You will get the EIDL advance prior to you getting the EIDL loan. And when they submit an offer for you to be able to get the EIDL loan, you can decide to turn it down. Okay, so effectively, you can actually get the actual EIDL advance and not even take out a loan, which again is free money. Okay, but if you get the EIDL loan, that's actually a loan, so you can't apply for forgiveness. But the cool thing about that is it's only like a 3% loan over 30 years. So obviously, the payment is going to be a lot lower, but you're still paying interest over 30 years. So you want to get that paid back. There's no prepayment penalty on that. Okay. But it's a crazy low interest rate loan. Oh, another thing I want y'all to jot down that I didn't have in the presentation that's very important is you get a UCC lien placed on your business. And also you have to put property up, if you own it, as collateral if your EIDL loan is above $25,000. Okay, so if you want to get the loan just because you want the money, because it's low interest money, this is what I'm telling y'all. Y'all listen to me closely. If you have any other debt right now, let's say you say, Rico, well, my cash flow is cool. Yeah, I had a decrease. Yeah, I qualify, but I don't want to take out a loan. Okay, I get it. But if you got other debt that you're carrying right now, I suggest you getting an EIDL loan and satisfying the debt that you're carrying that's probably at a higher interest rate with the EIDL loan, as long as it's under $25,000, because you won't get a UCC lien placed on your business or have to collateralize the deal with your home. Does that make sense? So if you got $10,000 in credit card debt, $20,000 in credit card debt, you may be paying 15% interest on a recurring basis, 20% interest. And you may be paying a couple of $100 a month on it if you're paying the minimum, but it may be $600 a month, depending on what that looks like. So if you get the loan, and let's say it's for $25,000, okay, that payment over 30 years may only be like a, 120, 125 a month. And you got 30 years to pay it back, right? Now, obviously, you can pay it back earlier if you can afford it, right? But what I'm saying is that's money they're giving you at a low interest rate, at a long term, so you can improve your cash flow right now and have lower interest loans and build a relationship with the SBA to get money later. Y'all can't tell me this ain't good free information. This is some good free information, isn't it? All right, so remember that $25,000, that $25,000 EIDL is your limit if you don't want a UCC lien, okay? All right, does the PPP loan go on your credit score? So Virginia asks, does the PPP loan go on your credit score? I don't necessarily know what you mean by go on your credit score. I'm assuming you mean go on your credit profile, okay? And no, it doesn't go on your credit profile as a trade line, but what they will do is run your credit to make sure you're worthy enough to pay it back, and it'll be an inquiry. All right, so I want to make sure y'all understand that. Okay, so an inquiry obviously affects your credit, but it's only 10% of your entire credit score. Your credit score is made up of 5 different components. I won't get into all of that tonight. But one inquiry is not going to hurt you that bad for this, especially if you get approved, and it's not going to show up on your personal credit file as a loan, okay? Unless you end up defaulting on the loan, then it will probably end up going on your credit as a judgment, okay? But, and again, the reason why you want to do this is because it develops a relationship with the SBA. So eventually, if you get into wanting to buy a plaza, instead of renting your office out, you buy a plaza and you rent out one of the partials from yourself, and then you rent out the 3 other parcels to somebody else, which means you're in that plaza for free. You're getting income off the other 3, and you have equity. Now you pay the building off, you own it in full, and eventually maybe sell it for 2 or 3 times what you bought it for, okay? This is what we call developing a legacy, okay? That's how it all starts, because you can take that same scenario and do it 2 times, 5 times, 10 more times. And guess what? A lot of that you got to be learning in our real estate investment education program that we're going to be rolling out within a few weeks. So stay tuned for that, because I'm going to be doing a webinar on that soon. Next question. Is there any money for sole proprietors? Okay. Again, similar situation, right? You want to put yourself in a position, just like if you're a gig worker or anything else, to be able to apply, to get this money. So if you position yourself that way, this is what I want y'all to understand. For the people who are on here right now that have had businesses, but they didn't have an EIN, you didn't have a business bank account, you were taking cash out, you were putting the money in your personal account, you got money on a debit card, you taking cash. Listen, I understand. You can't do what you don't know. All right. That's something that y'all need to write down, so you don't beat up yourself when you do things the wrong way. But what you need to do is you need to figure out how to learn how to do it the right way. That's why I'm so passionate about what I do with this company. That's why I'm so passionate about the book I wrote called The Plan. By the way, this is what the book looks like right here. All right. This is why I'm so passionate, okay, about what I do, is because people need a plan to be able to learn. So once you learn that, man, I need an EIN, I need to register with the Secretary of State, I need a business bank account, then you put yourself in position to take advantage of things like this. You got to understand, this is the first level. There's so many other levels where you get government contracts and have guaranteed multi-million-dollar income just on 1 or 2 contracts. But you got to position yourself as a business. What if you have been in business but have no employees? Will you still qualify? Yes, you will still qualify. Like I said earlier, you can be 1099. You can be, the only person that's a part of the show. As long as you qualified as a business, you got a business account, you submit information, boom, you qualify. And if you're unsure, you still want to apply, period. Apply anyway, okay? Because again, and don't get this money and go do something crazy like buy a car or, like go buy some new clothes. No, you use this money to build your business. Like you taking this money to flip it into something else. And if you're unsure what to do, then you need to, talk to somebody in the company. We can help you out with it. We do free consultations as well, by the way. If you apply for the loan last year and got a small amount, are you eligible to apply again? Yes, you are, Miss Champion, to apply for the loan again. Is there a minimum income that the business would have to earn to qualify? No, there's not a minimum income, but again, you just want to make sure that you fall within those eligibility requirements that I talked about, in terms of the decrease in revenue. And if you're unsure, what's the answer? Apply anyway, okay? Somebody said, do network marketers / home-based business owners qualify to apply for any of the grants or loans? Yes, they do, because a network marketer or direct seller or a home-based business owner is a 1099 contractor. In a few weeks, we're going to be sending out a few thousand 1099s all across the country from people that earn money with Novea, right? And we had several people, probably hundreds that actually got PPP loans and EIDL advances, idle advances, because they applied when I did the last webinar because they're 1099. What are some financial opportunities for small businesses that got started the end of December? Okay. Kayla, that's a great question. That's one of the things that I was talking about. Now, if you got started the end of December, I'm assuming you're talking about 2020, you want to look at our website on the business credit and funding page, and we have 8 funding categories at the bottom. One of the funding categories I talked about is you could be a brand new business, have no income, and if you have at least a 700 credit score, we can get you qualified up to $150,000. If you got some personal income that reaches above a certain threshold, you can add 100 grand more in approvals to that. Okay. And actually, the lending partner we just have, because the Federal Reserve is loosening up some of the requirements around the credit flow, we actually go down to 680 now. So if you got at least a 680, no doc financing, that means no doc funding, means you don't have to submit proof of income. If you got at least a 680 and your utilization is not crazy, you don't have crazy DTI, okay, we're going to be able to get you some money. So I recommend you applying for that. If you're a new business, if you have at least a 620, and we have information on our site about that as well, you can actually qualify for up to 12 grand right away. And also our business credit building program that also has the personal credit building program in it. But that's on our business credit funding page of our website, okay, novamoney.com, or the link that the affiliate sends you that refers you here. So that's the program. So people that have new businesses or they didn't have any income or whatever, don't get depressed about it. Find a way. That's how winners win. They find a way. Okay. So that's what you got to do. Would this work from the only employee? I answered that question. What are some, okay, yeah, I'll answer that. What happens if you don't make your normal amount? Kirby, I don't know what that means. If you want to drop that again, and maybe somebody can get that to me. You said, what happens if you didn't make your normal amount? I don't know what you're referring to. Cheryl says, what if I have an Airbnb and I'm the only employee? I use cleaning and yard services. No matter what type of business it is, okay? If you look at the provisions and you qualify for the first, because typically all businesses are going to qualify outside of those businesses where you're talking about like cannabis. Everybody familiar with cannabis? AKA 420, AKA weed, AKA marijuana. A lot of states that's legal now, okay? But a lot of states is still illegal and it's not federally legal. So the federal government will not back companies that have cannabis companies, okay? You can't get federal funding, unless they change the provision if you're on a strip club, okay? You can't get federal funding if you own a gambling service. Isn't that crazy when they support the lottery? Okay. But if you own some type of gaming service, that gambles, you can't get funding. So there are different, industries they won't fund. But if you're just a traditional business, typically you're going to qualify. What if you already started paying back PPP loan? That's fine. If you already start paying back the PPP loan, guess what? You can apply for another one, and that's great. Hopefully, you submitted for forgiveness. And Virginia asked this question, so hopefully, Virginia, you have applied for forgiveness. If you haven't, you definitely want to make sure you do so, even if you don't think you're gonna get it forgiven. Do it anyway. Okay, Tara. I applied recently for EIDL loan and got denied, and I was told I couldn't have duplicate loan. Can I reapply through PPP loan instead? Yeah, Tara, but you also can apply with this new program, with this second tranche of funding. You can actually apply again, okay, once this second tranche opens up. So I would say download that Hello Skip app, and wait till they say the second round of funding has been allocated to go ahead and apply again. And even if you get denied for again another reason, you definitely can apply for the PPP. Tyrone, what if you have two businesses under the same EIN? First business you opened on November 2018 and received PPP loan of $1,000 and $19,000 USBA loan, and then bought another business in 2019 and wasn't able to do it due to the pandemic. First of all, to my knowledge of being an entrepreneur for 20 years, is I didn't know you can have two businesses on the one EIN, okay? It's like saying two people have one social security number, okay? So I'm not aware of what you're referring to there, Tyrone, unless you're saying that you purchased the business and you brought those businesses assets underneath the business that you already own. If that's the case, then you don't own two businesses. You own one business that acquired another business. So it's important that, you also understand the difference there as well. But the bottom line is, either way, if you got funding before, you can get funding again. Shelly, when can we apply for the PPP loan? We don't know yet. Obviously the provisions for the loans are due within a few days. I'm assuming that, it may end up getting pushed back with all the craziness that went on in Washington, D.C. today. There's a lot of craziness going on with the federal government, as we know. If anybody saw the news today or anybody heard people talking, there's a lot of people upset. I don't know why they're upset, but they're upset. They're up there at the Capitol. All right? I don't know why they're upset. Somebody need to give them some milk, okay? But I'm tripping. But anyway, the bottom line is, hopefully we don't get this extended, as a result of all this craziness going on. But within the next few days, by law, they should be coming out with provisions to let us know when these are going to be released. They're just ramping up the technology right now on the back end, for the fintech companies and these different lenders to be able to provide on these loans. It's important for y'all to understand, like with the PPP, the SBA are not giving these loans. I want y'all to understand it. They're allocating money for these loans, to actually back the loans and to forgive the loans, but they're not making the loans. The loans are being made from the financial institutions that you're applying through, okay? So that's a little bit more education on that. Hello, does it go off personal or business credit, please and thank you? Andrea, it actually goes off of your personal credit. You're welcome, okay? Not your business credit, okay? So that's a good thing for most people that don't even have business credit. Most people don't even know you could actually build business credit, and that's something that we do effectively with our company. What about businesses that started when the pandemic hit? Okay, as long as you was in business before February 15 of 2020, you're fine. If you're in business after that, you don't qualify, okay, for this particular type of funding. But like I said before, we deal with several companies that are new, and we can help you out as well. By the way, if you don't have a 680 credit score, you can find a co-borrower or a co-signer to go on the application, and we can do it under their credit score to get you the funds you need. Okay, I want to make sure I say that up here for the people at the back. Okay, if you don't have the credit score to be able to get it approved, 680 or above, and you want that new funding, and by the way, that funding comes at a 0% interest rate for 12 to 18 months. up to $150,000. Okay. And if you actually have income, not revenue, not business revenue, personal income above $40,000 a year, we could potentially get you another $100,000 on top of the 150. All right. And we could do this based on a cosigner if you don't have the credit yourself. So we got some solutions for you. You just need to get to our site to be able to see what's going on and then actually submit an application. All right. Let's see here. Are the EIDL grants advances extended to December 21st or the EIDL loan itself? The EIDL program. Okay. However, I don't believe the advances, the money that they have allocated for the advances, I don't believe that's gonna hold until the end of the year. They have deadlines. It's like the PPP deadline is March 2021. March 2021, March 31st, 2021. I don't really think that money is gonna last that long. It could, but if it does last that long, they're cutting off the program March 31st. I don't believe the EIDL is gonna last until the end of the year. It could. And if it does, they're going to cut it off at the end of the year. So to answer your question, yeah, it has been extended. Can you apply for more than one business? Shayna asked that question. Yes, Shayna, you can, if you qualify. Remember, a business is an entity, just like an individual. That's why it's important for you all to, I was blessed to be able to go get my MBA, right? And I was blessed to be able to be an entrepreneur since 20. So I've learned a lot about business as a result of those things. But I'm putting things in place with this company for you all to be able to get a similar education on what you need to know in a shorter period of time than it took me to make all these mistakes and get this MBA for way less money. Because I don't know if you know, but it's pretty expensive to get an MBA. All right. So you all have an opportunity to be able to learn from everything that we're doing. But in business, a business is just like an individual. Okay. So if you got two businesses, those are two entities that you could actually apply for these loans for and get those loans for. What are some grants available for businesses that don't have employees and just started a business in the last 6 months? There's also additional information on our website under the COVID-19 funding that has a list of different grants that are available. So you can check those out. We'll be updating that as well sometime soon. If you click on that, and a lot of those grants are going away because they ran out, we'll be updating that soon. If I'm currently a DBA, and DBA means doing business as, and plan on switching to a corporation, how does that work for the loan? Well, it depends. If you're just strictly a DBA and you've been operating under your social security number, then that wasn't a business, right? You just a DBA to be able to have people write checks to that name, but that's flowing into your personal checking account. So what you wanted to do is open up a business bank account and be a corporation so you can start getting paid as a corporation. And that's the only way you're going to be able to qualify for these types of loans. We have funding that we can get you as a new corporation, or even you personally, if that's what you're looking for under that DBA. But unfortunately, you won't be able to qualify for these SBA programs. Do we have to reapply to get the remainder of the $10,000 advance, Jolanda? Yes, Jolanda, you do have to reapply. However, some of the guidance that have come out leads to recommend that the SBA is going to reach out to people who actually already got the loan in the past, already got the advance, to ask if you would like to reapply. Again, I will make sure that I stay on top of the information that's coming out to make sure I don't miss out. That's why you want to download that Hello Skip app. That's why you want to make sure you join our text list so you can understand what's going on that. What if you receive the 10 grand grant? Will you get another 10 grand or no? The answer to that question, Brian, would be or no. Okay. If you got 10 grand already, that's the max you can get. The only people that's going to get those grants, the EIDL advance, are going to be people who got under 10 grand up to that 10 grand. So if you got 10 grand, you're out of luck there. You still can apply for the next round of the EIDL though. I started my business in 2019, but didn't register it until December of 2020. What documents will I need to provide? I sell cosmetics and extensions. I only accepted cash and cash out payments. Unfortunately, since you didn't register your business until December 2020, That's what the government recognizes as when you started your business, even though you were taking money in 2019. Okay. So that's why y'all want to educate people who are out here, making money in businesses to literally start a business. And if they don't know how to do it, that's why they pay a company like us to provide them guidance to show them. We got a lot of free education out there as well, but if they want some individual guidance and education, we actually take that with business owners so they can make sure they're setting up everything the right way. So if you receive the grant, you can apply for the second round. Yes, Deborah, you can apply for the second round, but it depends on what type of grant you're referring to. If you're referring to the EIDL Advance, remember, you can only get a max of $10,000. So if you didn't get a max of $10,000 the first round, you apply for the loan, and then you actually get the advance if you check it on the application. Okay, on that application, there's a box that says, I want the EIDL advance. Some people left that box blank last time because they thought there was some type of catch and they missed out on the advance. If you check that box, then based on the application, if you qualify, you'll get the advance. Okay. Would we still be eligible for the grant if the business is more of a side hustle? Alexis, if you're a side hustle, does it encompass you having an EIN and being registered with the Secretary of State? The answer is no. Okay, you have to be a business in order to qualify for these things. And if you haven't and you want help getting that done, we can help you out with that. Tina, if you are looking to start a consulting business, will any of the available monies apply? Okay, I'm unsure what you mean, any of the available monies. Now, if you're referring to the government monies we're talking about, no, because if you're just starting, it's not for new businesses. However, we have programs for startup businesses where we can help you, Tina. So we can help you there. So check out our programs on our website and apply, and we'll reach out to you and tell you what the next steps are. Kelsey, so they can still apply for forgiveness for PPP1, or is it September date just for PPP2? No, you still can apply for forgiveness for PPP1 right now. I would recommend you doing that as soon as possible. Okay. September due date is for PPP2. Okay. Devine. So you can apply even though you just started your business, not for the government loans, but the programs that we offer on our website. A few more questions and then we'll get out of here unless somebody got some things they could type up real quick. Diane, I was approved for the PPP, but never received the money. They said the money ran out before they could distribute it. I was denied the EIDL loan. Can I submit again under the new program? You absolutely can submit again under the new program, Diane. I will recommend that you reach out to that lender and see, since you were approved, can they apply it to that? Now, I don't understand what you mean by they ran out of money, because the first PPP loan had $138 billion in payout. Okay. Now, potentially the lender stopped making loans by the time you got to them, but you could have literally potentially called the SBA and transferred that application to another lender, because they still had money. They still had money that's out there. They've actually put that money into a new fund for the new program. If I received the EIDL but the grant money was already exhausted, can I get the grant in phase 2? Yes, as long as you didn't get more than $10,000. Whatever that balance is, if you qualify, because remember, I gave y'all eligibility requirements. As long as you qualify, you can get it. And remember, in that app, the Hello Skip app, it's going to let you fill out everything in there. It'll probably tell you if you are eligible or not right away, even before it's submitted. But once it's submitted, you can track it and get your cash. Y'all got to understand, it's free money they putting out there. And again, obviously, well, let me rephrase that. It's not free money, but it's, if you are eligible, it's an easy way for you to get access to capital. Many of you want to grow your business, but maybe because of certain situations, you can't get lines of credit. You can't get credit cards. You can't get term loans. You can't get grants. You can't get SBA. Typically, the SBA, you got to be in business for a couple of years. You got to have good revenues. Term loans, you got to make it $20,000 plus a month. This is a good way for you to get in the ball game, ladies and gentlemen. Did he say if you receive the EIDL grant, you cannot get PPP2? No, that was those other grants, the venue grants. Okay, so that's a great question, Whitney. Okay, that's the venue grants, not the EIDL. Okay, the EIDL and the PPP, you can get both of those. Okay, so I have an LLC I started in April 2019, but I didn't start my hair and skincare line until after COVID hit. Will I qualify? Okay. Yes. Now let me read this again, make sure I understand. I have an LLC I started in April 2019, but I didn't start my hair and skincare line until after COVID hit. Well, it depends on what you're trying to get the government loans for. If you're trying to get the government loans for the LLC that you started in April 2019, that's what it is, okay? But if this hair and skincare line was started after February 2020, you can't get it. Hopefully, you're saying that you started an LLC in April 19, but you really didn't start, making money in it, maybe until a little later. Again, if that's the case, I would still apply. And the information that you're putting in, I want y'all to remember, you're just attesting to this information. You're attesting to it. You're saying that, hey, this is the information. Hey, this is true. Okay. From my understanding so far, let me check out something real quick. From my understanding, so far, we don't know, how much information they're going to request for proof. Now, they will request something, so you're going to have to submit documentation. But the bottom line is they're going to be hundreds of thousands, if not millions of applications going through. So I want everybody to understand, you have an opportunity to put yourself in a good situation as long as you do things the right way. Okay, I want to make sure y'all hear what I'm saying. Do nonprofits qualify for these grants and loans? We're waiting on further guidance from the SBA on that. I know I said last time that obviously the 501c6s did not qualify. They do. The 501c3s, for some they did, some they didn't. But I believe the PPP loan 501c3s actually did qualify. So it depends on what type of nonprofit you are. Last question I got here. I have a social service business that is not a nonprofit. Will my business qualify for grants? As long as you meet the other eligible requirements that we talked about. All right. Somebody said I started my LLC in August 2020. What can I do? Pray that they roll out with another round of government funding. That's what you can do. All right. Because you after the February date, right? However, we actually have an opportunity, again, if you just started your business, for us to be able to help you. So I want everybody to understand that's what we're here to do. We're here to help. We are a business. I want y'all to understand. What we try to do is educate people. Let me take that back. We don't try to do that. We do that, right? We educate people on the proper way to be able to develop a solid foundation for themselves financially and also for their business, right? And we're doing that not because of some program we bought online, but because of the experience of myself and other successful people that we had as a part of our organization. My personal mentor, his net worth is right at about $1 billion. That's what it be. He runs a company that's similar to mine, did over 900 million last year in revenue. So not only do I have the experiences that I've gone through personally, but also the experiences of other successful people. And I'm constantly running into individuals that put us in a position to further win, like this, this whole hedge fund company, $4 billion to be able to put it in these PPP loans, $4 billion. Y'all understand how much money it is? I think if you counted $1 per second, it would take you 33 and a half years to count $1 billion. So somebody couldn't survive a lifetime counting $1 a second if they were trying to count 4 billion. That's how much money we're talking about right here. And y'all have an opportunity to be a part of this. And we have awesome opportunities for you also to get compensated for sharing these blessings that we have here with other people as well. Okay. So with that being said, I'm about to go ahead and end. This is 10:09. I appreciate everybody jumping on. I will be doing future webinars in the future. probably one every couple of weeks, as they rolled out with new information, especially if there are any major changes. Also, y'all, if y'all on what's it called? Clubhouse. I just joined Clubhouse. I'm gonna start using it. I'm gonna start giving y'all, information on there as well. I haven't did my first, I don't even know what you call it, a room or something like that. I guess I could have did it tonight. I can do it. I don't even know if they allow you to do it like that long. But anyway, but yes, this is being recorded, and this should be up on the link within the next 24 to 48 hours on novestimulus.com. Also, you're going to get this PowerPoint tomorrow if you registered on that number for the Texas. So make sure you do that to get that information. And if you're interested in getting in the queue for the PPP loans, remember, you need to go ahead and make sure you do option 2 tonight, because we'll probably take the first 200, 250, make sure we get all them queued up and ready to go. So we'll probably close it off after that first 200 to 250, and then we'll open it back up again to do it in phases to make sure everybody's able to be served properly. So even if you don't get it in the first phase, you'll be able to get it later. And again, remember, that's optional, because you also can just wait until they open it up and you can do it yourself, and it's free. Okay. So y'all follow me on Clubhouse so y'all can continue to get these updates. Make sure you're on the text list so you continue to get information, on everything else, that we're rolling out with. And man, look, here's to a great year in 2021. If you made it this far, I want you to know God got your back. And since you were on this webinar tonight, if you plan to join us in any capacity, Nove has your back too. God bless, and we'll see y'all next time. Everybody that's a part of LAT, catch me in 5 minutes. I'll be in the room. Good night, everybody.